Hi guys, this is a follow-up video to the one I made regarding the difference between mods, the Creation Club and the Atom Market, and I specifically want to address some of the comments I was reading from people who were, well, let's just say upset that I don't consider the Creation Club content to be mods, and the fact that people are upset by this is a little strange to me. But what's even stranger is the fact that some of them, well, they seem a little aggressive. Some of the comments were almost unpleasant and seem to be suggesting that my not considering the Creation Club content to be mods is somehow a defense of the Creation Club or a defense of Bethesda. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever unless you consider the label mod to be some kind of negative, like you can point at it and say, well, it's just mods, as though that's a criticism. And if that's the case, well, you and I are going to have an unpleasant conversation for other reasons. Let me clear up any misconceptions you may have. Whether or not the Creation Club content can be considered mods is utterly irrelevant to my opinion regarding the Creation Club. It has absolutely no bearing on whether or not I think that content has value, how much value it has, or the inherent problems I see with the Creation Club at all. I criticise the Creation Club and it has nothing to do with whether or not it's mods or not. So that whether it's mods is absolutely irrelevant to me. In fact, the only reason I bring it up is because I noticed a fair amount of confusion as to what Bethesda were talking about when they spoke about mods. So the only reason I mentioned the definition of mods and why, why people are getting confused that the Creation Club is mods is because I'm absolutely convinced when Bethesda talk about modding, they don't consider the Creation Club to be mods. They don't consider it to be mods. So that's the only reason I mention it. As I've said, if you want to call the Creation Club paid mods, that is fine by me. I'll know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not going to get confused. As long as you understand when Bethesda talk about modding, they are not talking about the Creation Club. Because if you don't understand that, you are going to get confused about what they are talking about. But I'm beginning to suspect there is actually more of a hidden confusion behind this issue that some people are having difficulty voicing. I think some people are trying to find a definition of mod that will fit the Creation Club because they kind of need it to do so. And some of the definitions I saw were, well, interesting and somewhat entertaining. One person even tried to use the mods are things that modify games argument that I addressed in that video. I mean, yes, mods do modify a game, but if that is the limit of the definition, everything is a mod. All of the official DLC, all of the official patches, they're all mods by that definition. It's not useful. I saw somebody else try to say that it was based upon size. Someone said, well, mods are small. In fact, he said, I don't even consider the horse armor to be true DLC. It's more of a mod. No. Mods are not small. This shows a misunderstanding of what mods are. Mods can be bloody enormous. In fact, there are mods out there that dwarf the official DLC, and in fact are bigger than the base games themselves. Mods can be enormous. It's got nothing to do with size, and I'm not trying to invite rude jokes here. Size does not matter when it comes to whether or not something is a mod. My personal favourite was actually a mod is something that was made by a mod maker. No. Not only is that not a useful definition, it's circular. You can't say, a cake maker is somebody who makes cakes and anything a cake maker makes must be a cake. That is just not how it works. I am a mod maker because I have made mods. But things I make are not necessarily mods. I can make lots of things. I make videos, for example. They're not mods. I can make lunch. It's not mods. I've made children. Trust me, they're not mods. And it just doesn't work that way. And you could even say, well, we're talking about programs. I'm a programmer too. I've made programs. After I made mods, those programs were not mods. And besides, as I said, it's circular. If that argument's true, there's no such thing as a mod maker, and there's no such thing as mods, because if you think about it, you can't make a mod unless you're a mod maker, because the definition of a mod is it was made by a mod maker. And if you're not a mod maker at the time you make your first mod, which you can't be, what you make is not a mod. So you can never make a mod. And everything I've ever made, all of the mods I've made are not mods apparently, because I was not a mod maker. When I made Advanced Recon gear, I was not a mod maker. And so what I created at the end wasn't a mod? Well, of course it was a mod. But you've got circular logic there. Doesn't work. In the end, though, I just feel people are trying to shoehorn the Creation Club content into the definition of mod because they feel it should. Somehow, they feel if they can label it as a mod, it will somehow remove the need to present a solid argument as to why the Creation Club content is not necessarily good. It removes any need to make a coherent argument because they can just say, look, it's practically the same as what we're getting in the modding community. So it's mods, as someone else put it. If it looks like a mod, sounds like a mod, walks like a mod, it's a mod. You know, that sort of thinking. But that's just not true because Far Harbor looks like a mod, sounds like a mod, walks like a mod. Yes, it does. It may be official DLC, but there's nothing in there that couldn't exist in mod form. And I think this is the root of the confusion for a lot of people. A lot of people see mods as a kind of small thing. And what they resent about the Creation Club is the fact that it seems to be selling us small things that we can already get for free in the modding community. And they want to sort of point out, look, it's exactly the same as the content we're getting there, or practically the same, and that stuff is free. And that is just not a good value proposition for us. And I think that's what people want to say. That the stuff on the Creation Club just doesn't seem to be that different to the modding, to the stuff they've seen in the modding community. They want to get over the fact that it feels the same. But here's the thing. Of course it feels the same. It was always going to feel the same because Bethesda game content all feels the same. Whether it's mods, official DLC, the Creation Club. And this is actually because Bethesda Game Studios games are well, they're so very moddable. And more importantly, the way we make mods is pretty much identical to the way Bethesda makes the official content. I mean, some games will actually have a sort of a mod folder, and the mods are treated a little differently to the main content. Bethesda games, that is just not the case. Pretty much everything Bethesda can do in their DLCs and their content, we in the modding community can do. And often do so, I don't want to sound cocky, but do so a little better. Any DLC they've made, I can point to you a mod for one of their games that I would suggest surpasses it in a variety of different ways. And I think that's the problem. People are trying to separate the mod content from the official content, and they want to take the Creation Club and place that content in with modding because they see modding as somehow smaller, minor, lesser than the full official content. But nothing could be further from the truth. Modding, the stuff we make in the modding community, is identical in the way it's built, or pretty much identical, to the official content, whether it be Creation Club or whether it be the official DLC. And that is always going to be the case. So the fact that it feels like the Creation Club is mods is not a surprise. But that's not because it is mods, it's because it's BGS content. It's a content for a BGS game. And so are mods. And there's almost no difference between what the modding community can do and what Bethesda will officially try to sell you from the point of view of function. It is going to feel the same. It's perfectly fine for you to look at the Creation Club content and say, this just doesn't feel any different to the stuff I've got access to on the free modding scene. Because that is the truth. And that is a valid criticism. You can turn around and say, look, I know it's not mods, but this content is paid content and it's no better and sometimes worse than the free content. Okay? That's a perfectly reasonable argument, and that happens to be my stance. Me saying they're not mods doesn't change that. Oh, and at this point, there's probably someone beginning to angrily type, wait a minute, if you're saying the content in the Creation Club is more or less indistinguishable from the content in the modding community, why can't I call it mods? Why can't I call the Creation Club mods? You can, if you want. I mean, you can call the Creation Club content mods if it makes you happy. You can call the official DLC mods if it makes you happy. I personally do not think that is a useful use of the word. I think mods are one thing, the Creation Club is another, the official DLC is yet another, and having clear definitions between the three is helpful for communication. But if you really want to call the Creation Club mods, so be it. No one's going to stop you. And as long as you say paid modding, I am almost certainly going to know you're talking about the Creation Club. What you cannot do is insist that Bethesda are doing the same. They have clearly stated that they do not consider the Creation Club to be mods. And you can accuse them of lying if you disagree with them, but you have to understand that when they want to talk about the Creation Club, they say the Creation Club. When they talk about modding, they are talking about what you would call free modding. If you can do that, you can call the Creation Club content whatever you like. Oh, I do have one personal request if you're going to keep calling them paid mods. If you could possibly refrain from describing them as just mods as a mod maker, I'd appreciate it, because I still don't like people saying just mods as though it was an insult. Okay? Thanks for considering that request, and thank you for listening if you made it this far.